If you're a real estate investor considering the Cleveland market, listen up, because in this video, I'm going to share 6 reasons why you should not invest in Cleveland area real estate. What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the Cleveland Investor Primer channel. My name is Rob, and on this channel I share content on the topic of real estate investing, drawing from my own experience investing in Cleveland over many years. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing down below and tapping that bell icon so that you never miss a new video. And while you're down there, please click that like button as well. Every like is greatly appreciated and will majorly help me out in growing this channel. Lately, there's been a lot of hype about investing in Cleveland real estate, and investors seem to be flocking to the area to try to get in on the rental property cash flow action. But as an unbiased and seasoned investor myself, I feel it's my duty to share 6 reasons why you should not invest in Cleveland area real estate. Yes, you heard me right. This video is not going to sell you on Cleveland, but instead sell you on why not Cleveland. To kick us off with the first reason, let's talk about climate. Situated on the shores of Lake Erie, Cleveland can be known to have some pretty brutal weather. With freezing temperatures and snow that can go on for more than a quarter of the year. Yeah, I know, for many of you, you're not going to actually be living there, so who cares what the weather's like, right? Not so fast. Winter weather can be super rough on properties, with the freeze-thaw cycle wreaking havoc on roofs, gutters, concrete, foundations, and tons more. On top of that, people don't want to have to move in the winter if they don't have to. So if you happen to have a vacancy in the winter months, it can very well extend for a far greater length of time than you're probably expecting. The second reason not to invest in Cleveland is that by and large, the housing stock is pretty old. Cleveland is a very old city, having been established well over 200 years ago, and much of the housing stock in the city itself and the inner ring suburbs was built at least 50 years ago, and often more like 100 or more. Old properties are not necessarily bad if they've been maintained properly over the years, but you have to keep in mind that the older any property is, the more time it's had to have been beaten down and neglected. And then on top of that, insuring an older property is almost always going to cost quite a bit more than insuring a property that's been built within the past few decades. The third reason not to invest in the Cleveland area is a really significant one and is often overlooked or misunderstood by investors, and that's that there is a lot of regulation involved with real estate, especially for rental properties. People often have sort of a misperception about this and underestimate the amount of regulation in the Cleveland market, especially if they live in a place like California. Requirements for the registration of any property that's used as a rental are found in the city of Cleveland and nearly every suburb, and those annual registration fees are one of many things that chip away at an investor's cash flow over the course of time. Plus, in many cases, there's a ridiculously strict inspection that goes along with it. We're talking way beyond basic health and safety stuff to the point where they can get so fussy and require really unnecessary repairs or modifications, making investors pull their hair out and lose money along the way. The same is true with point of sale inspections, which many Cleveland area suburbs require whenever a residential property is sold. Just like with the rental inspections, they often look for really fussy, stupid little stuff and make the seller do tons of repairs prior to the transfer of the property. While it is possible for buyers to assume taking on these repairs themselves, some municipalities make it particularly difficult, requiring the buyer to place funds in escrow and not tap into them until the repairs are completed and all the hoops have been jumped through, which of course creates a huge burden for investors in many cases. The fourth reason to shy away from investing in Cleveland is the really high cost of property taxes. According to a roofstock.com article, Cleveland is in the top 10 list of US large cities with the highest property tax rates. And it should go without saying, of course, that the more you're shelling out in property taxes each year, the less of that gross rent you're keeping in your pocket in the form of cash flow. The fifth reason to not invest in the Cleveland market is the severe level of crime in the city. In a ranking of the most dangerous cities in America compiled by CBS News, Cleveland was tied with Little Rock, Arkansas for number 6 and was only outranked by Springfield, Missouri, Baltimore, Maryland, Memphis, Tennessee, St. Louis, Missouri, and Detroit, Michigan. Of course, in any city, there are going to be high crime spots and then some much safer areas as well. But in any event, the higher the overall crime rate is in a city, the more likely your odds are at running into crime-related problems with your property and probably with retaining good tenants as well. And as for the sixth and final reason why you might not want to invest in the Cleveland market, it's probably not what you think. There are people out there who love to drone on about how the population of Cleveland is declining, as if someday the city is just going to be totally abandoned. And there are people who say that there's just no appreciation to be found in the Cleveland market, so the only way you can make money there is with cash flow. I actually think both of these concerns are unfounded because when you look at the overall metropolitan area and not just the city proper, the population is pretty stable. And then when it comes to appreciation, it really just boils down to being able to understand and identify the areas where there's strong and growing housing demand. My own Cleveland area properties, all of which are located in neighborhoods or suburbs where people actually want to live, have seen huge price appreciation over the past few years. So if the sixth reason to not invest in Cleveland isn't about population or appreciation, what could it be? Well, the sixth reason to not invest in Cleveland really comes down to the people. Sitting basically at the edge of the Midwest and the East Coast, Cleveland seems to embody all of the negative stereotypes of the East Coast and all of the negative stereotypes of the Midwest without much of the positives of either. Of course, like all generalities, this is not applicable to 100% of the people in Cleveland. But it's definitely a common theme, and it's absolutely something you're going to want to keep in mind to avoid getting ripped off by the hordes of people who are just out there to scam you and usually do so in a somewhat crass manner. Of course, none of these very compelling reasons to not invest in the Cleveland market stopped me from doing so and finding great success in the process. It's really just that it's critical to understand these things and account for them and know how to navigate them so that you don't end up losing your shirt like so many out-of-state investors have. Please don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, share it with a friend or on social media, and subscribe to the channel so that you do not miss any of my future content. Once again, my name is Rob, and this is Cleveland Investor Primer. Thanks so much for watching.